I ended up having to go to the hospital due to the injuries I sustained from that night.
Are you serious?
Yeah, which included like putting cigarettes out on our genitalia and things like that.
Roblox took a $6 billion cut in one day because of that show. A lot of kids are going through childhood trauma, abuse. What advice do you have for a kid that's going through something like that?
No one's allowed to touch you or make you do anything that you don't want to do. Now, I'd pray every night before I went to bed, begging for forgiveness because I thought I was going to burn in hell because of what happened to me.
How were you abused?
Yeah, well, the main situation that comes to mind was a particular night where, he sexually abused me and my brother. Yeah, he had been probably doing some drugs. I remember the smell of smoke and in the apartment, and I remember being very confused that night and really sad. But yeah, he definitely he sexually abused my brother and I.
How old were you?
Yeah, probably 4 years old. Yeah, probably 4 years old by this point. Yeah.
And you remember this shit? Did you remember it vividly?
Yeah. So, for the majority of my childhood, it was kind of like a bad dream, right? It was a little bit blurry for me. And, which I learned later is like probably it's a condition of trauma, like that disassociation and a little bit of that amnesia. But I do remember, the situation. I ended up having to go to the hospital due to the injuries I sustained from that night.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. So after he did what he did to me and my brother, right, which included like putting cigarettes out on our genitalia and things like that. He sent.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, real evil shit, man. Real evil stuff. And I remember he sent me and my brother to bed, and I was happy that it was just over. So me and my brother go upstairs and we go to bed. My mom came home from her shift, and she came upstairs to check on us. We were young, so she didn't want us to wet the bed. And she did kind of her routine where she woke us up to take us to the bathroom to go potty so we didn't, pee in the sheets. And I remember when we went into the bathroom and she pulled my pants down, she started crying. And I was real confused, Shawn. I didn't know what was going on. And she started crying and she got very mad. She pulled my brother in there and she looked at him too and she started crying again. And I didn't know what was going on, man. So next thing I know, she goes downstairs and she starts assaulting this guy. She tries to get the cordless phone. It's back when the cordless phones were like huge, the metal antenna. And she starts trying to fight with him over it. And she starts trying to fight with the phone and she's screaming. And she tells us to go get our babysitter. We had a babysitter during the daytime, lived up this hill. And I remember being a kid and I remember that hill being like 1,000 miles long, trying to run up it in the middle of the night, beating on the door till they wake up. And finally they woke up and called the cops. The cops came and they arrested the guy. But unfortunately they ended up having to take me and my brother. Right. So first they took us to the hospital. Right. And I went there and I remember them checking me out. And the things I remember about that is they had to strap me to a spine board because I wouldn't let them touch me down there. So I ended up having to strap my arms down and my feet down. And a lot of those memories are foggy because I don't know. Right. It was a lot of bright lights, a lot of confusion, me crying. But I do know that once they were done doing whatever they were doing, I ended up having to go to kind of foster care for a little while, me and my brother.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to that, man.
Yeah. It's tough, man, because you hear this story a lot on this show.
I do.
Yeah. I hear it a lot with the people I work with, man, which is really sad. It's very, very, very common.
Fuck, man. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
How long were you in foster care?
Probably around 6 months. No, it wasn't.
6 months?
Yeah, it was. My mom had to petition to the state and show that she's a good mom. And there was a lot to be questioned on that one, right? It's like, from the outside looking in, it's like, dude, who would leave their kids with a stranger, right? Who would put their kids in this type of position? And, all I can say is that my mom's a very good woman, right? I love her tremendously. And I think she was just doing her best. And obviously she would have never voted for any of this to happen to us. But she got put under question, I think rightfully so. And she had to show that she was, fit to be a mom. And it took a little bit of time.
Do you remember foster care?
Yeah, I do. I remember they were very nice to us. I do remember they had a nice house with some property. And it was like, I remember a little bit, man, like kind of not feeling too sad if I had to stay there. Yeah, they treated me and Mitch really well. And I was like, it was actually nice, dude. Because when my mom, even though she tried her best, it was really unstable, man. It's really unstable. And there it felt real stable, felt loving, felt like, something that I would want to have as a young boy.
What was it like going home?
I was happy. I do remember to be back with my mom. Like there's, no matter what the situation is, I think a kid really wants, there's like so much compassion in a kid's heart and forgiveness that they're capable of, even in some of the darkest evil things that they can experience. And I was very happy to be back with my mom. I was, but unfortunately things didn't get better for, for a long time.
They didn't get better?
Yeah, it was just real chaotic where she just didn't have a stable job. I think she ended up becoming a cashier at a gas station, and it was just really living check to check. A lot of poverty, just, we really had no money. And then a lot of instability when it came to where we lived. We're always kind of jumping around places, trying to find the next place to live, the next place to kind of harbor up. And it was just a lot of chaos in that regard. Just not knowing where the next meal is going to come from, not knowing like, how long we're going to be staying somewhere. You never know when mom's going to come home and tell you that we got to shove all our stuff in a trash bag and get out of there, which seemed to be a routine for a long time. Yeah.
How long was that your entire childhood?
Yeah, up until fourth grade. Fourth grade, we gained some stability. So from kind of kindergarten through fourth grade, I was in the inner city, Birmingham area, which is kind of a rough place to kind of grow up. A lot of fighting, just a lot of violence, just a lot of instability. And then you're growing up around people that are in the very similar situations. So it's kind of exposed to a lot of that type of stuff early on. But in fourth grade, my mom's boss decided that he needed her to be stable as well, to kind of he wanted to make her a manager. And he ended up buying us a trailer in a trailer park. It was right on the edge of Birmingham City, next to a nice town. So that kind of changed my life there by us getting to go into that trailer park. It was still a trailer park. It wasn't perfect, but we were zoned for a different school. And I'd have to say, like, that shifted everything for us.
Damn, dude. I just can't get over that. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened to that guy?
Yeah, he ended up going to prison. But I remember, when me and my brother, we'd always ask my mom, like, hey, when's he getting out? Because we knew it was like something like 10 years. I think he got 10 years in prison. And there was like a little timer in our heads where we were always scared. I'd always ask my mom, it's like, hey, is he going to come hurt us when he gets out? Like, are we safe? And, it's kind of slowly became the dirty secret of our family where we just didn't talk about it too much. My mom would be like, what are you talking about? Like, why are we talking about this again? She's like, just stop. It's okay. Like, he's not going to hurt us. You're okay. But for a long time, me and my brother were scared that he was going to get out of prison and come and, try to pay us back for throwing him in jail.
How's your brother doing today?
Yeah, he didn't make it. Yeah, he was a Marine Corps veteran, and he got blown up. And there was two 155s buried in the ground, and he got blown up. But then he came back, and he actually survived that by the grace of God, but got a traumatic brain injury. Ended up taking his life in 2017.
Damn.
Yeah, his whole life was rough, man. He never shook it from that day, I don't think. His whole life he was trying to make it back. He's just poor kid, man. Poor kid. He's tried his hardest, and I just don't think he ever came back from that situation. Just caused a lot of issues for me because I really wanted him to be strong. Our relationship growing up was rough. I was abusive to him, man. I was. And I had a lot of shame about that. But deep down inside, I didn't want anybody to ever hurt him again. But he was such a sweet person, such a sweet guy. And just everything in me wanted to see a fight in him. Like, I wanted him. Like, dude, you got to fight. Like, you can't. Even when we were out and just going to school, he would get jumped. People would steal his Walkman and stuff. And I'm like, Mitch, you can't let them do this stuff. But he was just such a sweet human, dude, such a pure human that he just became the victim of a lot of stuff. We had some abusive stepdads along the way as well. And it always seemed like they went towards him. I don't know why. He was always the whipping boy, man. Always the whipping boy where it's like I would get my fair share of whippings, but he would always drew more fire, and it wasn't fair. And it was just something about his life where he suffered greatly, man.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
So we haven't even gotten into your military career or your career at CIA, and I feel uncomfortable saying this, but you're like the fucking perfect guy for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Audio Jungle.
I'm very grateful to be here.
Jeez,
Very
Steve.
grateful, I'll tell you that.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So you find some stability in fourth grade,
Yeah.
and then more abusive male figures in your life.
Yeah.
They all male?
All male. Yeah, my mom just kind of, there'd be the guy at the gas station that would be like kind of the new guy. And I say this with all respect to my mom. I want to keep saying that. I love her so much. She's such a good woman, but she was just trying to make it, right? We could barely make it. And it makes sense that you would do things to try and double income, right? And get some type of support. But these guys that she'd bring in were just had their own stuff. They were toxic human beings, right? And, we this one guy that she ended up marrying that was a fellow cashier he was raised in a Christian boys home, and it was spare the rod spoil the child type mentality, and we would be beat for any infraction in the house. One thing I am grateful about that is it gave us deep roots in church, right? So I grew up in the South, and we were at church every Wednesday and Sunday. To be honest with you, that got me through a lot of stuff, just having that stability. The church supported us a lot in giving us food and helping us get clothes. A lot of the clothes that I wore for the majority of my childhood was from either donations or the thrift store. But once this guy came into the house, we could actually shop at Walmart. So I remembered, even though he was abusive, I was like, dude, at least like we're kind of upgrading a little bit, and I have Walmart clothes on and not used clothes. And but it was just very abusive. Any infraction had to be disciplined. He made a paddle out of a pallet. He worked at this place after he worked at Chevron, and he pulled a piece of wood off the pallet and he grinded out a handle in it and wrapped it in duct tape. And that's what he would hit us with. And like I said, my brother he got the majority of the beatings. But
Shit, Steve.
yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough. It was hard because I wanted to be grateful, right? But it was just still like the abuse was too much. And, I just did not like this guy very much at all. The crazy thing is when I was in 8th grade, my brother, we were having dinner, and my stepdad was sitting in the living room, and I guess my brother had drummed on the back of his chair with some butter knives when they were gone. I didn't know about this. My stepdad came in and he ran his hand across the back of the chair, and he was like, "What is this?" And my brother looked at me, and I'm like, Mitch, like, dude, like I knew I wasn't going to rat on my brother and say it was him. So I knew we're about to both get it. And he just kind of gave me that look, and I gave him that look back like, bro, come on. And I'm like, I don't know. And he asked my brother, and he's like, I don't know. He's like, stand up, go to the living room. And we'd go in there, and he'd make us bend over and touch our toes. And we'd have to stay there until he got the paddle, and we'd come in and hit us with a paddle. But so I go in there that day, and I remember I leaned over. I was just kind of looking at him, waiting. But there's no way I was going to rat on him. There's no way. He was my rat or die. We'd been through so much, and I just ate it. I took my lashings, and he sent me back to the table. And I sat there with my ass on fire, trying to eat my hamburger helper or whatever we had to eat that night. And then he fired Mitch up, and he fired him up worse than me. Mitch came back and sat down, and he's crying, and I just looked at him. I was mad at him, but I wasn't going to rat on him. And right about that time, dude, I'm sitting over, and I look over, and my stepdad starts flopping like a fish on the floor. And me and Mitch were like, what's going on? Like, we thought he was messing with us or making fun of us or something. And we realized that he was having a seizure. So he screamed for my mom. She was in the back room. This is a single wide trailer, right? It's not a lot of room. I ran back and got her and ended up calling 911. And he ends up going to the hospital when he found out he had brain cancer. So over the course of that next, probably it was about a year and a half, we watched this guy just slowly die from brain cancer. And he ended up dying, the end of my 8th grade year, 9th grade year.
You watched that whole process?
Yeah, I watched the whole process. Yep, from the seizure to him being pretty much normal after surgery to not being able to walk, and just watching him go into hospice, and he died right there in that trailer.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Did you have any feelings when he died? I mean, what is that like to see your mom's abusive partner? Was he beating on your mom too?
No, I didn't.
Just you guys?
Yeah.
Did he show any love to you guys, or was it all just waiting to beat you?
I think, he was abandoned by his family and raised in a boys' home. And I think he struggled. He didn't have that either. And I think he would try to love on us his best way. I think him like providing what he could was his love, but there was no love there, man. There's no love there. I was relieved when he passed. And I hate to say it, but it's the truth. I was relieved. I was tired of that chaos. Right? I was tired of the beatings. And yeah, I was relieved.
What? I mean, growing up like that, one thing I always do is I ask, there's a lot of I didn't grow up like that. I had a really good childhood. And so for me, like starting the show and hearing all this childhood trauma come up unexpectedly and realizing how fucking common it actually is. I mean, one thing that I like to do is because we have a lot of kids that watch the show, and right now they're all pissed off at me because we brought up Roblox. I don't know if you know about how that's going, but we brought up Roblox with a really good friend of mine, Ryan Montgomery, about all the sexual exploitation that's going on. So anyways, all the 8-9-year-old kids throughout the country hate me right now because none of them are allowed to play Roblox, and Roblox took a $6 billion cut
Yeah, so sad.
in one day because of that show. But what I want to ask is, a lot of kids are going through childhood trauma, sexual trauma, abuse. What do you, and a lot of these kids, and not 3 and 4 years old, but 8 and 9, teenagers, a lot of kids watch this.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for a kid that's going through something like that?
Yeah. One thing is there's zero tolerance for that. No one's allowed to touch you. No one's allowed to do anything to you, right? Your body is sacred. It's your body, and no one's allowed to touch you or make you do anything that you don't want to do, right? And you always have that right, and you should always have the courage to speak up immediately and tell somebody. Don't keep it a secret. The second thing is that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You're a victim. Like these adults, they're predators. They're evil people, right? And it's not your fault. Part of my journey was like I held a lot of shame about that, dude. We'd go to church, and I remember they would tell us about, like, homosexuality is a sin and that you were going to go to hell. And I remember me and my brother looking at each other confused because this happened to us. We didn't get a vote, but a guy did stuff to us that classified as the things they were teaching in church. And me and him would be like, dude, we're going to hell, right?
Are you serious?
Yeah, man.
You thought you were going to hell because somebody had sexually abused you?
Yeah, man, because there's zero tolerance there, right? It's like it's Pentecostal hard South. It's black and white. There's no wiggle room. And it caused me a lot of distress, man. I would pray every night before I went to bed, begging for forgiveness because I thought like I was going to burn in hell because of what happened to me. And I, beat myself up. It caused a lot of issues for me. A lot of insecurities affected my relationships. And that's what I want to say. Like, if anyone's experienced this or they're experiencing it, it's not your fault, right? It's not your fault at all. It doesn't say who you are. Like, it doesn't have any bearing on that. It's not your fault.
Shit, man. No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.